All right, it's 5 o'clock. We're ready to go. I'll call the meeting to order at 5 p.m. exactly. And welcome to the City of Cold Lake Regular Council meeting of Tuesday, August 25th, 2026, located in City Hall, Cold Lake Council Chambers. Just a reminder that the meeting is recorded, so you will see yourself on our YouTube channel and other possible media outlets. But welcome to everyone that's here tonight, and we'll move to the Cold Lake Indigenous Land Acknowledgement. In the spirit of respect and reciprocity, we acknowledge that the City of Cold Lake is located on lands and by water in Treaty 6 territory and the homeland of the Métis Nation that has been and continues to be a sacred place for many. We pay respect to the Indigenous peoples of this place, past and present, the Cree, Dene-Sulané, and the Métis people. We acknowledge that this place is impacted by the ongoing process of colonialism, and we strive to understand and reframe our responsibilities to land and community as we journey towards reconciliation. So we'll take a motion, please, to adopt the agenda. Councillor Bailey, all in favor? Okay, carried. Don't think there are any disclosures of interest tonight, but I'll ask the question. None. Okay. Minutes approval. The minutes special meeting, item 5.1, special meeting August 10th, 2026. Councillor Vining, motion for its adoption. All in favor? Okay, thank you. Carried. 5.2 is the regular meeting of August 11th, 2026. Councillor Weber, thank you. All in favor? Okay, again carried. Public question period is a chance for anybody in the audience to ask a question to anybody here. It doesn't look like there's anybody like draft picks or anything like that. You can certainly ask us draft picks, but we'll move on from that one. No public hearings tonight either. So delegations, and welcome former Worship Copeland and Violet Lapointe to do 8.1 is the Lakeland Region 2026 Alberta Winter Games update. Remembered.
You weren't as rusty as I thought. Good evening. Thank you to everyone for having us back here. We wanted to come today and do a little overview, a little wrap up of the games. I know it seems like it was a long time ago, but there's a lot of things that go into wrapping something like this up. And we want to make sure we had a chance to come back and talk about how things went overall and do some thank yous and some other things. So I think I can move it. Can I move that?
Don't ask me for help.
Can I move the slide with this one? Oh, there, now it's working. Okay. So we're just going to do a quick review of the games weekend and the events surrounding it, a little bit of a financial overview, some event feedback from different sources, kind of a quick snapshot of our post-game activities, and of course, most important, our thank yous. So just a review, and I know that a lot of you participate in a lot of these things, but in January we held the torch relay, which was being videoed so we could do the first ever virtual torch relay, which was something really neat. We also held the community barbecue to light the cauldron, welcome it to the area, and it traveled throughout, obviously when it came to this region from Glendon to Bonnyville, throughout the MD, in Cold Lake. We were at JJ Parr. We were a bunch of really interesting hotspots for the region, so it was great to showcase those. In early February, we held volunteer rallies in each community of Bonnyville and Cold Lake, and they were well attended. I know that I saw a lot of the faces here there as well. Then 13th, the participants arrived, and I know that a lot of you were there on hand as ambassadors to see the over 2,000. So 2143 was our athlete and coach number for participants. 201 technical officials arrived for that weekend. And we did hit over our anticipated target of 5,500 plus visitors for that weekend. So that's just within the immediate surrounding areas. And of course, really importantly, over 1,200 volunteers. So we hit over our target, and it was quite amazing that we were able to do so. February 13th, we held the opening ceremonies here in Cold Lake in the Imperial Arena. Of course, Councillor Bailey was there emceeing for us that night, and we are really appreciative of that. The opening ceremonies were well received, they were spectacular, and I know that they were really enjoyed by the athletes and the visitors alike. So it was good to see a sellout performance. There wasn't standing room only in there, so all the competition that was held the 14th to the 16th was fantastic. We had the greatest weather you can imagine. All the facilities ran like they were supposed to, and I don't think that we could have anticipated that part running any more smoothly. 16th, we did a virtual closing ceremonies, which is also something new, but this allowed everyone to not have to come back together again from the multiple communities they were staying in and competing in. So they just got a chance to get on their buses and go home, and they did just get home just in time before that storm came in. So they were starting their last hour traveling down south was a little bit slower, but we were really lucky that didn't come in a day earlier. So everything was on our side that day.
Yeah, I'll just jump in here. Just before we get into the finances, so if you remember way back when the government approached us, the municipalities, to see if we were interested in hosting the games, the 4 municipalities, and we all came together and provided the seed money. But the idea was, from the province perspective, was to bring the games to rural Alberta to see if it could successfully pull it off. And in the end, I think we stroked that box, and everybody did a great job. So really, it allows other communities like ours to take a hard look at the winter and summer games going forward.
Just at a high level, we did come up with a final. Oh, I did. Yeah, it's there. It's there. For a final budget projection, we were coming in at $1.9 million pre-games. That was our final projection. And our final costs, while they're not, we haven't quite crossed that finish line of final costs yet, but will be within our budget. So there was no extra funding required on any extra sources. So that was something that we were quite happy about. It's always nice not to run out of money at the end. We've been working with some of the facilities, some of the local ones, some of the venues that donated their resources, their time, their people, with some legacy funds. We don't anticipate a lot of legacy funds will be available, but as a host society, it's in the best interest for us to give back to those people and those facilities that donated some of their time. Like when we look at talking to some of the people at, say, for example, JJ Parr, we've been working with the facilities management team there. We've been working with people at Canuso Ridge, and we've maintained some contact with the folks at the Energy Center as well, to be able to provide some small things that say never get covered in budget, or they never quite, have improved funds for, that can improve users' ability, any patrons that visit, or even the people that work in that building. An example of that is, say, at the JJ Parr, if we have funds to give them, they really could use some extra CPR dummies for their training. They're constantly going through their first aid training because of the lifeguards and things like that, and they don't have the latest and greatest technology to be able to do that. So if we do have these funds available at the end, we'll be, looking at each one of these asks and then allocating them as we can to within the communities.
Yeah, so how it'll work is the board, there's about 4 of us, I think, sit on the board, and with Violet as the manager, and once we get our audited statements back from the auditor, we'll have an idea where we land. Almost every single bill now has been paid, and so once we see where we're going to be, knowing that we have to file society papers again, we'll probably have some money to now give out from the board, and it's not going to be huge money, but certainly it's better to be on the other side of the coin than not, and have to come to the municipalities for money. Just so for the people that don't know, I think the city of Cold Lake was $250,000, I think it was, in sponsorship or donation. Partnership, okay. I'm out of the loop on words now.
So some of the things that we really struggled with from beginning to end was sponsorships. Sponsorships were remarkably low. They fell well below the target, and well below several other larger events that come to the community. And I think that we've seen that trending corporately for a while now. So it's something that we were able to kind of offset with an extra casino we are awarded. So right away out of the gate, we applied for an extra casino, and we did quite well on those. With having volunteers work at them. Our ticket and souvenir sales were higher than they've been in previous games, which was fantastic for us. So local people and the amount of people traveling in to buy those. Our souvenir sales were really well received. Services and supplied, gifted in kind. So this is where our community members really shone. So the mom and pops, the smaller organizations, the equipment rental places, the things like that. That's where they really came through with these gift in kind and services. So we were able to, some of those expected costs we were be able to, it just balanced out a little bit better that way. But we definitely couldn't have done it without them. They came through as volunteers as well, so lots of people who volunteered services or tangible items, they came up and they volunteered as well. They wanted to get in on the action. So we will be doing our final reports. Like Craig said, we have to go through a formal review and engagement because, we are a non-for-profit host society. We did have government service grant dollars that we have to be accountable for. So we have to go through a formal review engagement process. So we won't have our final numbers until Q4, probably towards the end of Q4, I would say, for 2026. So at that time, we'd like to just send those along to and make sure that they're available for you guys to review. I don't think we necessarily have to come back and present them, but I definitely think that it'd be interesting if anyone would care to take a look at that. We'll make sure that we're an open book on that. So anything else you want to talk about there?
No, you're doing great.
Event feedback. So we've had some great feedback. We've had great feedback from the community, from the participants, from the visitors in the area. And I would have to say that food services knocked it out of the park. So one of the areas that we put a lot of effort into was to making sure that all of our food services were local caterers, that it all came from local businesses, and that it wasn't production companies from, say, bigger centers like Edmonton or Calgary, which is traditionally how they've done a lot of that in the past. So yes, it was a lot of extra work on our part, but it really paid off. The athletes had fantastic meals. They were well fed. They never ran out of food. The coaches, their feedback from some that have been to many games over the last, I would say probably their 20 years of coaching. So that's the best food that's ever been at a winter game. So when we took that, gave that feedback to the caterers as well that did that, and it was fantastic. So I think that's a huge notch in our cap, I would say. That turned out very well. Another thing that really stood out was our local hospitality. So everyone had friendly smiles. Everyone who visited and everyone who participated had great feedback. They felt welcome here. They felt really well received in all of the communities. So I think that that's really important to note. The volunteers were great. They were smiling. They were helpful. They were engaging. The sports leaders, our sports people who ran the venues, they were also very engaging with everyone. I think that the compliments we received on the venues themselves are very important too. So to know that we can compete with bigger centers that sometimes have bigger options, bigger dollars sometimes available to them, but we really were up there. There was our outside venues. You obviously can't beat for the scenery in the area, but it's important to know that our facilities compete with those bigger ones. So souvenirs, everyone went home with their hands full for sure, so that was great. As well as the new idea of the virtual torch relay and the welcome videos. Those were very well received, so those are great things.
And we got lucky with the weather. It wasn't like Grand Prairie where they had the truck in the snow. We certainly had enough snow this year, so but the weather worked out perfect and just made it so much easier. The venues, like Violet's saying, we don't realize how our venues are so world-class here for the games. And so we should be proud in the Lakeland area or Lakeland region about all what we have for facilities, because they're top-notch. And then we're getting this feedback from, like Violet said, the coaches, but also from the organizers from the government of Alberta that we're all here. And so, and the food catering was amazing. Again, government staff that continuously worked just couldn't compliment enough the food quality, the food that the athletes were getting, and they were encouraged to go back for seconds, which everybody's raised teenagers. So they're, that isn't common, and they just kept on going up for food and felt very warm. And we had a great party on the day going out. We had a lot of fun waiting for the buses. So the athletes had a lot of fun in the Ag Society for Cold Lake, and in the venues at night for the coaches the Sunday night.
Mm-hmm.
And that was well received too. So Sunday or Saturday?
Sunday.
Sunday night.
They
Yeah.
actually said that they'd never seen that before. So sometimes when you have that so they had hosted a coaches and an athletes entertainment on the Sunday night, and the coaches entertainment is not usually, so probably there's 200 and some coaches in each community, so Bonnyville and Cold Lake, and they would normally they said, well, plan for all of them, but probably only about 50, 75 of them are going to show up. They all showed up. They all showed up, and we had to flicker the lights when it was time for them to leave. Like, we had music, poker, and trivia and stuff like that for them, so they all had a great time. So that was something else that they had never seen before. So.
Yeah, you betcha.
So a little bit of our post-game activities. So we've been spending the last few months doing lots of follow-ups to our sponsors and the sports groups, just getting those lessons learned that we can kind of all put together and make sure that it goes into our reporting, not only so that we can archive all this information, which we will be, but so that we pass it on to the next game. So the next Winter Games hasn't been announced yet. There's been some changes with how they're doing that and which community is doing that. So hopefully they'll have something in September, but we'll pass forward all of our lessons learned for that. And like Craig said, because we're also quite different, this is like opening the door for some of these rural communities to come together, being able to co-host, which is something that hasn't been done too much in the past. So we'll be putting out a wave of pictures and thank yous of all the visits that we've been doing over the last little while. And it's really great to go back to the sponsors and see, did you feel like you had some value in this? Were you glad that you participated? And, kind of what their point of view was. So that's been interesting and very, lots of compliments, well received. We've been visiting the sports venues, talking with them, talking about the legacy funds. We've donated a lot of the items that we've used to a lot of community groups in need. So lots of stuff to the Hive, to the Stepping Stones, to different user groups, everything from our office supplies to computers to things like that. So yeah. We are still doing some of our final reporting, like we said, so we still have the review and engagement and some of our other stuff to be done, and that should be end of Q4. And we will, since we'll be archiving everything, the town of Bonnyville, because we've worked with them on some of them, they will be archiving the information as well, but we also offer it to the city of Cold Lake as well. If you'd like to keep all of the documentation from the games, our financial information and our lessons learned, and you'd like to compile it, we would have no problem sending you guys a copy of all that information, so that's at your fingertips if anyone should be crazy enough to do this again.
Yeah, on that note,
It's not going to be us in September.
it sort of comes around every 20 years, like when you sort of look at the kind of 18 to 20 years, and so I'm sure the province will be back, and so as the communities just grow further with everything that's coming in the Lakeline area, the games will come back, and so one of the big changes that I think is going on right now is the schools. So the athletes are housed at the schools, and the schools are changing where they got no showers anymore. And so that is a huge dilemma, is how do you, and Violet had to do all this gymnastics with other staff, is how do you shower the athletes each day? And so we were pretty close to bringing in skids of those portable showers, but luckily the school divisions managed to outfit as many shower heads that they could try to figure out. and then put certain athletes in certain schools that may be able to utilize the dressing rooms for their sport. So it was and we are seeing it, we're hearing that this is impacting the other communities that are looking at games is the schools, it's become a challenge. So do you look at other options in housing athletes? So, we when we do the report, and we were very verbal back with the games people during the process, we were pretty frank with some of our issues. Certainly corporate donations, that was, we had warned them, and that I wasn't confident that the money was going to be there in the big way, and so the MLA managed to get us some extra funding from a grant, and then the extra casino was the big one, but also just the volunteers that came up we had a big push as usual, and in our area where volunteers stepped forward and donated their time, but they're a big part of the success of the games was all the volunteers that came forward and all the people that were wanting to take on the responsibility of the chairs and all these non-paying jobs. So
yeah, so that and continually talking and working with the government folks still, the showers in schools is a huge issue, and I think that it's really changed the landscape of it, because as we learned, as they're building new schools, they're not even putting showers into a lot of the new schools. Privacy has dictated that, and that's just the direction that's going. So it's kind of reshaped how they have to look at it. Do you have to start looking at hotels? Well, how does that work when you want to house all the visitors as well coming in? And then is it feasible anymore? And then who pays the cost of that? So there's definitely a lot to work through there, and I think it's different community by community, but it definitely has changed the way that that's working going forward.
So we had people staying in St. Paul and Lloydminster, Edmonton for the games that came in because, of course, the area here got filled up fast, and then unfortunately some prices rose quite high, so people decided to go elsewhere. But some parents were coming in and out for the day, depending, because some of the sports, athletes only maybe get up there once, right? So some people were driving in, but we definitely economically the return on our investment, I think, was pretty strong. Yeah, it's well worth looking at these things, but just make sure you got all the facts, and there's some things that really caught us off guard, but certainly the weather was so great where we didn't have to truck in snow like Grand Prairie did.
Mm-hmm. Yes, all the stars aligned for us. And now for the most important part is the thank yous. And obviously we could not do this without the City of Cold Lake's help. I mean, initially your partnership funding of $250,000 was enormous. That was, big kickstart for us in required funding. The networking, the invitations, the introductions to people, especially someone as myself who was not brought up in the Cold Lake community. So definitely utilizing the City of Cold Lake's network and introductions, and the staff helping me I just can't say thank you enough. Participation from Mayor and Council. I enjoyed meeting you all. I can't express how glad we were to have you participate in the relay. The videos were great. The welcome videos were fantastic. A lot of you were ambassadors, mayors at schools, different things like that, or even just volunteering at food centers and sports. So we were appreciative of all of it. Of course, Councillor Bailey was our master of ceremonies for the opening ceremonies, and it was fantastic. The coordination support we got from the Public Works team was second to none. They were just fantastic. They stepped up. They helped with how the energy center works. They helped with parking. They helped with the flow of things. They had great ideas. They definitely were a shining star in that area for us. The Energy Center, the staff, the employees there were just fantastic. They were welcoming from day one. They worked with us. They helped us. They had great ideas. The Cold Lake North Arena, same thing. It's a lot of the similar people there. The outside people, JJ Parr was fantastic to work with as well. We really felt the love there. I would say just overall our experience with all of those facilities were fantastic. There was no roadblocks that they weren't willing to, help us knock down and take charge of. The thank yous to, we visited with the school districts and we worked with them closely from day one. And I know that, it was really hard to get to the finish line on these showers and finding some volunteers there and stuff like that, but they came through for us and we shared our appreciation for that. And the volunteers, we just keep saying the volunteers. We can't do enough with those volunteers. So for communities like ours to come together and have the 1,200 plus volunteers, where we know recently at another games in a larger community they only had 650. So for us to be able to pull that together speaks a lot about our communities, and that is something that we need to be really proud of. And that those kind of things is what sets us apart from others. So. Definitely thank you to all of them, and I wish that we had a way to say thank you to all of them, but we put it out there, I hope enough that they all get the message and know that we appreciated them. Do you have any other thank
Nope.
yous?
We're open at questions if anybody's got any tough, easy questions.
Tough, easy questions?
Yeah. Yeah, certainly do any of the council members, not necessarily questions, but I think platitudes we should do around. Everybody should have something to say. Mr. Cowell?
Well, thank you for that presentation. I was very excited to volunteer as one of the school mayors. I called it Chateau Assumption. It was great, and just it was nice to welcome everybody into our community. And so I'd like to echo just thanks to all the volunteers. It was an incredible opening ceremony, Stu. It was really, really incredible. Great work. Thank you.
Mr. Parker?
Mayor Assumption.
His worship on assumption.
Yes.
Just want to say thank you to you and to your board and to the volunteers that you have, because this is a big effort. It's not something small. It's a big effort that everybody did, and thank you to you guys, because you did a big job and you had to wear it. So good on you. Good job.
Yeah. Councillor Bailey?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. Like you said, being part of the opening ceremonies was really just a highlight for me. Everything was great. I think what a lot of people, hopefully watching, need to realize, and there's a lot of front-facing volunteers, but the hard work, like Councillor Parker just said, like the hard work of your board, people like Toy, just every detail, like people don't realize every minor detail of everything is planned to the almost second of what's coming, and a big thanks to Knox with their fireworks, just made things really cool. And just hats off to you and your board and your committee and your society and all the people that worked with you, because that was a rockin' event. I was so excited to be on stage that night. The young man from Lloyd who sang just had all the youngsters in his palm of his hand. Just a lot of great stuff, really showcasing that our area is not as rural as people seem to think it is. So when they come up here, I know a lot of people, even in my own family, are astonished at what we have, color TV, things like that. So. Thank you again.
Sure. Councillor LaFave.
Oh, kudos to the committee for sure. Definitely have a lot of pride in all our communities for stepping up. As you said, volunteers. Cold Lake is very good at stepping up, and same with our neighbors when it's needed. They're there to help. But it takes a lot of organization, and even just putting those tubes together and those things in these different sacks was a heck of a lot of work. But they had us going a worker bee. It was just wonderful to see, and everybody was happy to do it. And then when they came in, I heard from so many people, and especially having teenagers, that they couldn't believe the food. Some of it was even hot. You're like, well, you just don't understand that that's not something they're used to. So kudos to the planning, kudos to all the volunteers that did a tremendous amount of work, and all the municipalities that stepped up, and their people. We're just grateful for all the work you did. Thank you. Proud to be a part of it.
Councillor Weber?
Echoing the sentiments. Yeah, I had the privilege of being with one of the events for the medal ceremony that was delayed. So I got to see a lot of behind the scenes, and they were really kind to show me how the scoring works with synchronized swimming, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really cool just to see things from that perspective and all the work and what they go through. I don't think I've seen that many people in our arena since Tragically Hip were here. So that was also super awesome to see, great turnout, and just loved seeing the community support and the way everyone cheered for those kids. It was great. Yeah, just great job. I'm also good friends with one of your caterers, and from her perspective, everything was just so on point, and she had such a great time being a part of it. So yeah, just overall wonderful event, and yeah, real great job embracing community pride.
Thank you, Councillor Vining.
Yeah, again, congratulations on a great event. Heard nothing but really great things. It was I know that it was a bit of a struggle on the volunteer side, because I know even as being, my school was one of them, but being able to try and find on that weekend was a challenge for a lot of them. And so I know that those kind of things were creating some issues, but there was a lot of good determination and stuff from your group in making sure that things worked out. So congratulations. I think one of my this ones, we had family that were up that were participating in Ringette, and they were blown away by how much they enjoyed Glendon. Because when they first got there, you had a whole pile of teenagers unloading Glendon and went, what are we going to do here? And by the end of the weekend, they absolutely loved it. They were shown the best time. The facility was fantastic for them, and the community really made them feel like they weren't missing out on not being in Cold Lake or Bonnyville for their event. So I just wanted to single that one out, and I know I've mentioned it to the folks over on the Glendon Council and stuff too, that to the kudos for the hard work. Yeah, and
We're
well,
fed the best protein.
oh
in
yeah, well they
Canada.
couldn't. Yeah, they were definitely that was a well-fed bunch for sure. So yeah, good job. But kudos to you guys, great job. I know your volunteer board and stuff too, but there was a lot of work, and I know there was a lot of stress leading up to it, because there was lots to do, right? So much going on.
Say anything, Mayor. Our organization was made up of several people on the board as volunteers, and we had contracted out Violet to be the manager, right? So we advertised that. Violet was the manager, and then the employees underneath are all contracted out. So the people that were behind the scenes that deserve a lot of credit. We had a very small organization of contractors that did various jobs, and then relied on various sports chairs and the venues to put whatever they're responsible for on. So our organization was different, because in the one up in Grand Prairie, what we got to see was they were municipal employees that were being paid to be, very involved in doing what we did, but as paid employees as part of the municipalities. A lot of the one in Strathcona, or am I saying it right? Strathcona County? Yeah, Strathcona County with the summer games. They went with their employees in all the key positions, right? We purposely stayed away from that so that we didn't tie up the municipal employees in the games. Right.
Yeah, perfect. No, thank you. Echoing with what Councillor Vining said, I was so proud to see Glendon get they got their legacy fund by having those people there, and the hospitality and what's left over. We were there last week, and it's just totally refurbished. And thank you for using the local caterers. Everybody made money that weekend, or made book, and they did a perfect job. And we shouldn't be surprised about that, because this Cold Lake Bonnyville, we just get stuff done. And that was just apparent. The other thing it's never apparent when there's a crisis. Like if your hair's on fire, we didn't know it, and it's just like like something's going on, but we don't know that there's a crisis. We just went and had a good time. We did our part, and everybody in this room had a part in the games. Kevin was a ambassador for judo, and people went and helped with the mats. Everybody did something proverbially out of scope, and I just can't thank you guys enough, and everybody that was involved, and great job. So thank you.
Good.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks. And you don't have to stay, right?
Good to see you guys.
Thank you, guys.
All right, so
Hearing that, the rumor is that Lacey's presentation is going to be.
Oh, yeah.
okay, so we're going to go to 8.2, which is the Cold Lake Community Grant Advisory Committee. Welcome, Lacey.
Thanks.
Floor is yours.
Hello, Your Worship, and members of council, and friends on admin. It's great to be here. My name is Lacey Ches, and I am coming to you as the chair of Community Grants Advisory Committee, and so happy that we just had that presentation. It's tying together all the themes of both delegations that I bring tonight around volunteerism and themes around sponsorship, as well as once we get into the economic development presentation, you know, what we can do when we talk about regional partnerships and collaboration and using the assets that we have here in the Lakelands. So I will start with a quick update on the Community Grants Advisory Committee. I want to start with recognizing the volunteers who make up the committee. We have one new vacancy. Grace Palsat just graduated and is off to university, so we'll be looking to fill that seat. It was awesome to have Grace on the committee. She was one of our youth members this year, and I would love to see another youth take her place, but that is a seat that's open at large. Anyone can join. Nicole Parker is the vice chair of the committee. Councillor Chris Vining and Councillor Don Weber are members as well. And then I'd like to thank Alan, Candace, Code, Ed, and Laurier as well for volunteering this year. We sure kept them busy. So for anyone who doesn't know, the scope of work for this committee is a little in depth. There's 10 unique funding categories that the Community Grants Advisory Committee looks at, plus the other category that sometimes is that bucket for anything that doesn't quite fit into those categories. So we often talk about CRATCH being the Community Recreation Arts Culture and Heritage Grant, but under that there are many other specific grants. So we have grants for arts, culture, and heritage, development incentives, major tourism events. Lots of people don't know we have screen-based production grants. I've done some reaching out to people this year, letting them know about that because I think it's cool. And the committee also received lots of requests for travel grants and things like leadership grants. And so all of those fall under the CRATCH category. And this committee also oversees the Community Capital Project grants, which we just take intake of once a year. So my job as chair is to help our committee really evaluate the applicants through the lens of those 20 pages of policy. And I just really want to make that clear because sometimes when we're making our recommendations to council, we really try to take the emotion out of it. A lot of us are passionate volunteers who sit on a lot of boards. We know the value of this money and how it's being put to work in our community, but we really try to be as sensible and stick to the policy as much as we can. So I really want to thank admin for the many reiterations of that policy. I know that as a council and a committee, we've been through many variations, and I feel like as chair, we've really hit a very good rhythm, and that the changes that we've made have been effective in the past couple of years. And I also feel like the onboarding and the learning curve for a lot of the not-for-profits and societies in the community have come along. People are becoming more proactive in thinking about their events, applying earlier. And I know there was a lot of hiccups in how this committee works. So thank you for bearing with us and giving the opportunity to embrace this scope of work and do a good job for you. So there are 10 committee members. In 2025, we reviewed a total of 58 applications, and so far this year, we've had 31 come across our table. And I really, if I spend one of my 15 minutes giving a shout out to Tara Diamond, it will be the best use of my time. This program could not run the way that it does without the work that Tara does. And that's not to discredit the leadership of Paul either. He's fantastic, and I wish he was not on vacation so I could tell him to his face. But Tara really, really deserves a ton of credit. Her professionalism, her welcoming demeanor, the intake process just to collect grants every month is a huge administrative workload on top of the committee support and the other work that she does that I'm not even exposed to. But she really, the work that she puts in ahead of time in preparing our meeting packages, which are often hundreds of pages, have been essential in helping us get through those meetings effectively and efficiently. Everyone has heard legend of the marathon meeting that was held in the past, and those days are no more. So I just really want to credit Tara for being a great resource, not just to me as a chair, but to the applicants themselves, who she goes back to them to make sure that the applications are completed as thoroughly as possible, to really do the best job possible to help the organizations who are applying for this funding. And we're just exceptionally lucky to have someone like that on staff. So yeah, good job. And I know that's a reflection of Mr. Nagoya's other team members as well. It's a great place here. So just to give everybody a bit of an idea, I won't go through the whole list, but this is the amount of applicants that we looked at in the first 3 months of last year. So it's a heavy intake process in the first little bit of the year. As I move to the next slide, you may see one or two of these names repeated, and that's because while we only fund one successful grant per year per applicant, applicants may apply as many times as needed to hone that ask and to get the funding that they're looking for. So, and then this is the list of applications that the committee reviewed in the latter half of 2025. And so to keep my presentation succinct tonight, I'm not going to provide you all the details on who received how much funding. I will just proudly say that we kept it under budget in 2025. So we're operating within the scope that you've given us. The capital grant funding stream has also been utilized. So more than $56,000 was distributed for capital grants in 2025, and $75,000 and some change has been distributed for capital grant projects in 2026. So I know that council will be making decisions on budget in the fall, thinking about 2027, and I would hope that you would consider to continue funding that capital grant stream. There's not a lot of options out there for capital funding for not-for-profits. So our city is unique in that regard, and it's been valuable in providing upgrades to buildings and services that otherwise might not be able to move forward. So thank you for your decisions on that. And so far in 2026, these are the applications that the committee has looked at, and we are really happy to see that the grant program is well promoted, and that we are seeing a mixture. Oh, sorry, that should say 86 cancer, not 8 cancer. That's a typo on my part. We're really happy to see both repeat applicants come back year after year, as well as seeing new organizations or new student athletes and folks come forward looking for development grants and leadership grants and travel grants and things like that. So while we have 10 complicated categories of criteria, we're utilizing them. They are coming in handy, and people are reaching out and appreciating that support. And thanks to Tara's good work, we've also received a lot of reporting on past grant funding that has been distributed. We're starting to now see reports come back on how that funding has been put to use and the impact that it's having in our community. So for anyone who might be watching online, there are still 4 more opportunities to apply for CRATCH grants this year. The applications must be in by the first Thursday of each month, so I've listed those dates there, and the new city website is awesome. I know I kind of still call it new. It's not new anymore. It's been out for a while, but it makes it very easy to find all the information you need. So if you're looking for grant funding, sponsorship opportunities with the city of Cold Lake, you just go to coldlake.com, click on the City Hall tab, and grants is right at the top there. And you'll find everything you need, including the applications, the deadlines, the policy, the criteria that our committee looks at, and all of those things. And we still have money in the budget. So I just wanted to leave it on that note and open it up for questions for CGAC.
Okay, anyone have any questions at all for Lacey? Councillor Vining?
Sure. Yeah, not so much a question, but yeah, two kudos. Lacey, good. I think kudos to you as well. Like, I know you've been the chair of our committee for quite some time, and the work that you put into it and helping, because it is like compared to a lot of groups that we're working with, like when we're there, it's a big group. And with some very diverse opinions and stuff too, and so sometimes it can be a little of the herding of the cats, so to speak. But you do a very good job, and as a true volunteer, that you put your time and effort into this, and it shows, and your pride in what you do. So kudos to you as well, and I'll also second for Tara Diamond, for our admin assistant from the city that does the work, like. Because it's not just helps us, and I think you put it really well. She is really kind of tapped into the spirit of the committee and what we've talked about and stuff. So she really helps those community grant groups to create an application that has the best opportunity of being successful, not allowing them to kind of leave things that she knows the committee is going to be like, well, no, they're going to ask about that. So if you don't have that, there's going to be so she's very, very good in working with those groups. So kudos to her as well. So, but thank you very much for all your work too, Lace.
Awesome. Well, thank you for the feedback. And yes, we're a good dynamic duo, Tara and I.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Vining. Anyone else? Councillor Lefebvre?
Yes, I just wanted to pass on my thanks because I know as a council, we can be sometimes frustrating with our requests and how we change. Like, it's been a long process trying to get here. And I just wanted to say thank you for the amount of work that you've done. As Councillor Vining mentioned, it's kind of like herding cats at times because you have a dynamic group with different opinions. But I think kudos again to Tara. When you have the stuff outlined and you know the criteria that's being there, it gets easier every time. And I think we're slowly educating our public that these are some of the things that the city's going to be requiring. And there again, as you mentioned, Tara's good at saying, I know it won't be able to go through unless we are able to provide this, because it's a continuous ask. But I wanted to say kudos for your work, because it's not easy, and I appreciate the work you put in, as do all our council. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Anyone else? Good. Well, thank you. I guess we'll move on to 8.3 then.
Yeah, we'll segue into, I just can't get enough volunteering for the city, so I also have my hands in the Economic Development Advisory Committee. For this one, I did not put together a PowerPoint tonight. Sorry to let you down. I thought we'd just have a quicker conversation about it. So our committee has evolved a lot over the last year and a half. So I just want to start by thanking Councillor Bill Parker and now Councillor Ray Cowell. They served on the committee in 2025 alongside former Councillor Adele Richardson, and were hugely instrumental in that. And before Paul went full-time with the city, he used to be my vice chair on the Economic Development Committee, so I'm glad that I still get to see him sometimes, but he was volunteering and has moved on. I also want to recognize Sherry Buckle was a dedicated volunteer for many years and served the committee in 2025 alongside Austin Werner and Sylvie Hatch. All of these members are no longer on my committee. So all of the momentum and the engagement and the onboarding and the camaraderie that we've built has now shifted. And I want to thank Carrie Purcell and Loria Lapointe, alongside my now vice chair, who also just tendered his resignation, Mike Kilburn, for their work. They stuck with me this year as we onboarded Councillor Don Weber and Councillor Ryan Bailey post-election after the council reorg. And we have some new members on the committee, including Juliette Noizuzu, Wilmy DeCastro, and Olukolade Ajayi, sorry. And so really excited. I started 2026 feeling like, okay, we have fresh momentum, a new slate of volunteers with lots of ideas. However, I'm going to be really frank. We've had some challenges with our quorum and sort of getting everybody up to speed. So it's been fantastic to work with so many people who are passionate about economic development, or at least interested in it and wanting to learn more about it and what the role of the committee could be, what the role of council might be. And again, Tara has been a huge instrumental support in terms of supporting our committee under the direction of Andrew Serba, and of course the addition of Heather Stromquist to the team at the City of Cold Lake has just been fantastic in my opinion as chair. Heather's been so strong, and paired with marketing and communication and all the great things that Andrew does to engage the right audiences. I just think they're a fantastic team, and it's given me a lot of fire for sure to see what they're working on and try to get the committee strongly supporting new initiatives, because we see that we have some really capable experts on our team. So that's sort of the people power part of the presentation. Those are the people leading the advisory committee. And so our mandate is to make recommendations to council which promote, initiate, enhance, and expand the full economic potential of Cold Lake, using local and regional assets and worldwide opportunities to improve standards and quality of life for residents. So a lot of what the Winter Games was trying to do, right? Tapping into what we have around here, both physical assets as well as the people power, and the opportunities that exist outside of our current geographic region to sort of bring new opportunities in and showcase what we have and raise the quality of life here. So it's been a big mandate, but we've been working on it with engagement and support from Four Wing, Community Futures. This year, EDAC worked really closely with FCSS and the Cold Lake Youth Council. And we also had a few visits from Lisa with Jobs, Economy, and Trade, so it's been really good. The committee started this year sort of discussing how do we evaluate how effective we are. It's great that we get together once a month and we talk about economic development, but I think the committee was feeling a little fatigued, like maybe we could be putting more recommendations on the table, we could be getting more ideas to council, and we sort of had some conversations on like, how do you measure whether our meeting time is a good use of time? And what we landed on for now, temporarily, is we've developed an idea tracker, which really is just one more administrative tool for Tara to keep track of for us. But it's been a great way to sort of take overarching themes of economic development, whether it's workforce development, such as the rural renewal stream or youth employment, or business succession planning or attraction and retention, sort of capture these themes and then bucket a bullet list of the key highlights that the committee continuously comes back to, so that when we're looking at making motions, we sort of have a guiding document to help us that's a little bit more streamlined than just the minutes. And so for me, the highlight of what we've been up to over the last 18 months is probably the work with Cold Lake Youth Council. So in September of 2025, we had a really awesome meeting, and we followed it up in May of 2026. So we had Nicholas, Brianna, Alexis, Olesia, and Kobe from Cold Lake Youth Council come into EDAC, tell us a little bit about what the Cold Lake Youth Council is and what they do, and really start having conversations with them about how they feel the opportunities are locally for employment and training, and basically how are they feeling about their future and their ability to participate in our local economy. Do they see themselves having a future in Cold Lake, and what might that look like? And out of that, those two meetings, which, you know, Mayor Copeland came to one of them, Community Futures was present for some of them. Out of those, we had motions encouraging council to support the Youth Council with administrative resources to host a reverse job fair. So this was a really cool concept where rather than the people seeking employment going around to the booths, the people offering employment would be available for employers to come and interview them and get to know them. And so some of the other motions arising, we had asked the City of Cold Lake to consider developing options for supporting and encouraging employers to attract, train, and retain a reliable entry-level workforce, especially from underrepresented groups. So when we were working through some business as usual stuff, such as the rural renewal stream, we kept having conversations about it's great to grow the workforce by attracting people to Cold Lake, but how do you develop the workforce using the existing assets, aka the youth, within the community? And so those are some of the motions that came forward to council, along with us encouraging the City of Cold Lake to just look at what other jurisdictions are doing. We're really proud of a lot of the existing economic development incentive programs and things like that. Again, the new website does a fantastic job featuring what Cold Lake has to offer. However, there is some current realities at the committee level around high turnover of volunteers, and also we differ in Economic Development Advisory Committee from the Grants Advisory Committee because on the Grants Committee, you have a lot of historical data to compare to, and you also have really strict criteria in the policy about what you can and can't fund. Whereas economic development, anything can be put on the table at any time, which is awesome as a chair to not be confined by. However, when you're trying to get new members up to speed and there isn't necessarily a volunteer orientation and onboarding program that says, hey, here's what Economic Development 101 is, and hey, here's the role of an advisory committee. I found that as a chair this year, especially as we have turnover of, you know, more senior, experienced committee members, like Bill, like Ray, like Sherry, like folks who've been around the table before, it takes a while to get new volunteers. While it's awesome to see the civic engagement of new people wanting to get involved, it takes a while to teach people what the role of the committee is and isn't. And we tend to want to get in the weeds a lot, and it's hard to pull up and just say, let's just make a motion with a recommendation to council. Then council can decide whether they direct admin, if it's worth looking into more, if it's worth staffing, if it's worth funding. And so that's been really tough. But it's the best kind of challenge to have because it means that the volunteers that we have are used to being the doers, right? They're used to being on operational boards, not advisory boards. And so again, as a chair, it's just my job to try to get the ideas and the juice out of what we're talking about, but also try to elevate it to so that stuff comes on your desk. And while there is no ECDev motions on the table tonight on the agenda, I believe in your next agenda package there will be some coming forward from EDAC about some, again, just some opportunities we see heading into the new school year, and again, forming partnerships, or rather leveraging the partnerships that the City of Cold Lake has already formed. And that's where Andrew and Heather have been really awesome at helping us move forward. So yeah, members are still learning the scope of the role, along with best practices for making motions and recommendations. And again, I really want to thank Heather for having some one-on-one conversations with individual members and I outside of committee meetings, just providing some coaching and helping us talk through things so that we come to the meetings more prepared and feeling more effective. So this is one of my favorite things to do is chair the Economic Development Committee along with the Community Grants Committee. But on a personal note, it has definitely been hard for me to make meetings this year. I sit on another board that also just happens to meet the first Thursday of every month. And so I'm starting to take it personally that my vice chairs keep leaving every time they have to chair a meeting. So I'll have to look at we'll have to look at our meeting schedule. And that's something too that when we do our bylaw review, we may have to consider if a monthly meeting is still the best method forward. I do find volunteers are engaged, but we're just in an era where people work in camp and people are away for work, sometimes for conferences, and because we don't have the option to join virtually, it's hard. People would often be willing, but again, Tara does a lot of work herding the cats and trying to make sure we have quorum, and that has been one of our challenges this year with EDAC, and so the committee did not meet in June and July. So biggest strengths, I think I've said it, but it's worth saying again, the in-house expertise, what you've been able to do at the city to attract rock stars on the staff. I sincerely mean that. I don't just say that because I work with these people in a volunteer capacity. I know what marketing and communications and economic development looks like in other communities, and I really feel like we're doing a lot with the little that we have. And so I think there really is opportunities for just increasing the intentionality around regional collaboration. I know there's a lot going on at the city level, doing that through SETI and other opportunities. I think just tapping into the existing and emerging relationships, whether that's around the aerospace and drone work, the training school that's been developed, or something else entirely. We're really excited about the momentum in our community, and I really think that hearing how city staff have been working on our behalf as ratepayers and citizens has been helping get the committee up to speed, but I think it's still hard for us to know what can't we suggest, and none of us on the committee are economic development officers, so it's not always within our wheelhouse. So my recommendations as we look at 2027, or as council thinks about budget and priorities going forward, I would just encourage us to look at, little by little, how might we build the capacity to better measure the economic impact of the activities that are already happening. And I think former Mayor Copeland kind of hinted at that, right? We have these incredible events come to the region, and we know that there is a significant economic impact on whether it's hosting the Winter Games, hosting the air show, hosting the fun motocross meet that we had. Like, there's no shortage of awesome things coming to Cold Lake and people filtering in, but we don't necessarily have the capacity when you're constantly out attracting investment to stop, pause, do the reporting, look at the metrics, figure out how we measure the impact. But I do think the city might want to consider, how do we move towards a model where we can impact or measure the impact, especially with the stuff that we know where our dollars are going. And there's a little segue there with the community grants funding, right? So that's a big piece of it. And then, yeah, I think we're really proud of the initiatives and the momentum that the city of Cold Lake has in economic development, and we're just looking to sort of find our way as a volunteer committee to put forward stronger recommendations to city council. It also helps now that our council is coming up on a year under their belt and our committee is getting more in tune, perhaps for the next budget cycle, we'll just be rapid firing out things and ideas that we think are worth your while. But in the meantime, our focus has really been on youth and that intersection of tapping into what's already here and leveraging the strength of this emerging workforce. So I think I'll leave it there and open it up for questions and just a conversation on maybe what you guys would like to see us discussing or things like that.
All right. Any questions or comments from the council table? Councillor Bailey?
Yeah, thank you. Just to echo, similar sentiment for the from the crash grant. You worked really hard as the chair of EDAC, and your passion is definitely there. And I can understand the frustrations with some of the challenges. But I agree with you when you say everybody there has a passion to try to either learn or they already know. And so I wonder what I think our next year will be a bit more of a bang. I do appreciate that you did take time this year to say, let's refocus. Let's make sure we're focusing on our mandate, because as you know, and all of us know that are on any committees anywhere, sometimes the squirrels get us away and we have to come back. And it's good that you've helped focus the committee on that. And I hope that, we're able to, meet as effectively as your vision shows. So I just wanted to say thank you for leading, because again, another committee you've been on for quite a bit of time, and you've seen now some of the turnover that's happened, and you come in every time though with the positivity to try and bring us up to speed as quickly as you can, because like you said, there's no official process. It's just sort of like, okay, here's what we've done before, and I think you've done a great job on that, and I think your vision board and those kind of things of tracking ideas and trying to just be more effective, which is what I think every committee is trying to be. Let's use our time effectively, and you're well on your way to getting this committee doing that again. So thank you again.
Thanks for the feedback.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Bailey. Councillor Lefebvre?
Yeah, thank you again. Appreciate your work. One of the things, if I might add, would be putting in expectations as to when you do submit some ideas to the city council, because things may not come up that year or the next year. It might be 3 years before it hits the actual budget process. I know when we first started eons ago, I was on EDAC and loved it, and we had a great idea of signage around town to be the same and that people could see where they're going and all that stuff. That literally took 6 or 7 years to come to fruition. And it wasn't a bad idea. It just takes time to build in. And then when it is agreed upon, then the administration has to look and see, what is it actually going to cost? What is it going to look like? And then it's coming back again. So I think sometimes that can be a little disheartening, because you think, I've got a wonderful idea here. It's just great. But it might not hit the budget table for 3 years till it's really researched. But I think we can't stop having ideas or thinking outside the box, because it can eventually come up and be worked on just as soon as the time can be grabbed, or soon as administration could look at how can we actually implement this. Because I have to give kudos to the city as well. They do implement things in a very refined manner so that it's laid out well, it's thought out, and it looks good when it's out there. So I think that you kind of nailed it on the head there, Councillor, that your positivity in dealing with the number of things that have come up, I think that is just a plus, because it can be disheartening when things don't get to the table that you'd like. But when you have the right attitude and stuff like that, it'll get there eventually. And we do all appreciate the work, because it's a lot of work, I know. Thank you.
Likewise, and thank you again. It's good to hear that feedback, and also it is good to have that historical context, and that's democratic governance, right? You just got to go through the process. So we've had a lot of good civic engagement, and it's been nice to also have a few youth sit in. We've had a few volunteers bring their kid one night when they haven't had childcare. We've had folks sit in and shadow. Our meetings are open to the public, so if anyone is so inclined to come on down and see what we do at the Energy Center, they're most welcome.
Perfect. Well, thank you. I did have one question. I'm not sure if EDAC uses statistics, and I'll use the Calgary Stampede, for example. Often when you come off the C train, you're met by somebody with a cowboy hat on and say, hey, I just have 5 questions for you. What's your postal code? How long are you at Stampede for? How much money do you anticipate spending here? And I forget what the other 2 are. It's probably what's your favorite drink or whatever, but and the one other one. So, but do you use that? Like, is that something would ever be considered? like a guerrilla marketing to say how many people went to Mudfest, how many people stayed, where did they stay, how much money do you think you spent?
Yeah, I think the conversation at the last EDAC table was how much of that work is expected to fall on the volunteers who are organizing these events in their spare time versus how much of that might be done by a summer intern student for the city who, you know, pops up at these things that are sponsored and asks that question. So I think there was some conversations around logistics, but there again to the point of what is the scope of the committee? To put the idea on the table and let council debate it. And so I think that's where we need to get a little better at moving from discussion to recommendation. And I think we're shy because we don't want to put something imperfect or unfinished in front of council to discuss. But I think those types of tactics, Your Worship, would be fantastic.
Yeah, perfect. And I mean, maybe the youth council, we can hire them if it's a budgetary thing, but I think it yields good information, but just a suggestion. But thank you for your presentation, and I think we're good. We'll move on to the next. Before we move on, Christy, I'd just like to welcome Mr. Major Carl Brastruck. We forgot to tell you we start our meetings at 5 o'clock now, so, but other people maybe didn't tell you either, so you were 10 minutes early, so. Okay, but anyway, welcome to the meeting, so thank you. Christy, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. We are presenting the July 2026 financial reports for your consideration this evening. As always, it does include our bank reconciliation as well as the variance report. There are just a couple of items that I'll mention that are included within the report that council may have noted. On our month-end cash summary, and this is on page 42 of the agenda package, there is a return check line, which is showing $16,866 returned. That line represents all of the NSFs that we're going through in that month. So that would be payments that were made to the city by check or by a pre-authorized payment plan through our utilities or our tax that actually bounced. So we did have to remove those from the bank account when we received that information. We are seeing somewhat of a growing amount of bounces happening from some of those pre-authorized payments. So we do note that. As it relates to the variance reports, there are just a couple of items I'll mention on the revenue side of the report. And that's the line that says FCSS, and council may note that it's at 291% of budget. And that's just in relation to the kids sport programming that's being run through FCSS now. So the kids sport grants are recorded there on that line, and then those are passed along to the minor youth sports organizations that are utilized by the kids that qualify for that program. The economic development line is at 235%, and that's largely due to the STAR conference that was held. So sponsorships and ticket sales there were recorded that were unbudgeted for. And then on the fixed revenue side, under federal grants, council may note it's at 3,722%, and that's just where we've recorded the AMES project claim and the grants that were received for that project. Other than those comments, Your Worship, everything is as we would expect it, and we recommend approving the report as presented.
Okay, any questions at all? No? All right. Motion to accept the report as presented. Councillor Bailey, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. You are 11.1 as well, too, I'm assuming, right? There's no old business, so.
Thank you, Your Worship. And we do have the 2026 financial write-offs on our uncollectible accounts. As always, we have made efforts to try to collect on all of the outstanding receivables. Those have included some increased efforts this year to go even further to try to find and be able to reach the people that did have outstanding amounts owing to the City of Cold Lake, including many phone calls, personal visits from city staff, as well as trying to track people down when we were unable to get a hold of them and contact them to let them know about some of these outstanding balances. We do have a total of $23,652.24, which we were unsuccessful in collecting, and we are recommending that amount be written off today. That amount is broken down into 4 broader categories. The first category is the accounts receivable, and that is a total of $17,425.08. Now, 74% of that amount is fire call invoices and related penalties to those invoices, which are still unpaid. Some of that is due to a lack of insurance information being provided, and we were not able to reach or get in touch with the individuals. We have broken down within the agenda package the list of each of those amounts, and that is on page 50 of the agenda package. In that case, there is redactions for the personal information where the account was under a personal name. For the corporate names, those are still listed within the report as that disclosure is permitted under the access to information and privacy legislation. We do note, Your Worship, the next category under property taxes, the total proposed write-offs is $3,989.89. That entire amount is in relation to 3 properties which are owned by the Government of Alberta, and grants in place of taxes are paid instead of the regular tax amount. On those properties, in the 2019 provincial budget, it was announced that the amount paid would be reduced by 25% in 2019, and then another 25% in 2020 it was reduced by. In 2025, it was announced that the amount paid would be increased by 25% in 2025, and then increased by another 25% in 2026, which would bring the total funding back to 100%. So this year we see that 25% being written off, and the breakdown for those properties is included within the report on page 51 of the agenda package. The third category for write-off is the utility accounts, and proposed write-off is $1,961.77. That does represent 10 accounts that we're proposing be written off. Now, generally, we have very few write-offs for utility accounts, and that's because we utilize the provisions of our utility bylaw in order to transfer unpaid utility accounts to the tax account. There are several instances, however, where properties change ownership in between the time that we're able to process the final bill for the utility account. And that's what those 10 accounts represent, is that there was a property ownership change where we couldn't transfer the utility account left outstanding. We do believe that the amount of utility write-offs is going down significantly due to the increased deposit. So the deposit was increased from $50 up to $100, and now we're seeing more often that that's able to pay off that final bill. So things are looking better on that end. We did again include the list of the accounts that were being written off on the utility side, and that's on page 52 of the report. Just the corporate names are outstanding, with the individual names are redacted. And then the fourth category is just recreation, and the proposed write-off is $275.50, and that relates to just one account, and that account is quite dated. The intent was to write that off on the last time this came to council 1 year ago, but this one account did get missed, so there's still been some penalties accruing on it. We are recommending that that account be written off as well, with again the total write-off for 2026 being $23,652.24 as presented.
Okay, perfect. Any questions at all? Okay, so we'll look for a motion. Councillor Cowell makes the motion as recommended to, yes, all in favor? Opposed, none, thank you. 11.2 is the encroachment agreement and encroachment agreement renewal, EA 26-003. Mr. Schultz, welcome.
Thank you, Your Worship. So administration has received a request to enter into an encroachment agreement from 2227642 Alberta Limited, which is the owner of the GMC Car Wash located just down the street from us here at 5305 50th Avenue. That agreement, the request would replace a previous encroachment agreement dating from 2021, which recently expired. The encroachment itself consists of a portion of the drive aisle leading into the rear of the building and a series of bollards which are encroaching on the city's boulevard along Highway 28. No concerns regarding the encroachment were identified when the request was circulated to our internal departments. We would just like to point out that there was an error in the wording of the motion that's contained in the agenda package tonight. That motion recommends that city enter into an encroachment agreement with a three-year term with the option to renew for an additional 3-year term. However, the actual agreement that's attached, which is based on the standard agreement template from the city's encroachment policy, specifies that agreements will actually have an initial 3-year term and then automatically renew for additional 3-year terms unless that agreement is terminated by the city. So given that clarification, we would recommend an alternative motion that council direct administration to execute a standard encroachment agreement with 2227642 Alberta Limited for the property located at 5305 50th Street in accordance with encroachment policy number 228DA23.
Okay, any questions at all? Okay,
Your
Councillor.
Worship, I'd like to make a motion that we pass the standard encroachment agreement.
Okay, perfect. And you have you'll pass the reading on to Ms. Pollard. Okay. All right, all in favor? Okay, carried. Thank you. 11.3 is a residential demolition grant application.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is a grant application for a demolition at the property of 5902 50th Avenue. Your Worship, there is no requirement to go beyond the $10,000 grant because there's no abatement. I think this foundation needs to be removed. Since the submission of the report and the agenda being published, the City of Cold Lake has received clarification that the property owner's insurance did confirm that we did have it lapse, I believe back in 2016 is what it is. So, so therefore there is no further insurance in order that's covering the cost. So we don't have any issues there. With that, Your Worship, administration recommends the approval of the $10,000 grant.
Okay, any questions? None? Councillor Parker, want to make the motion? Thank you. All right, all in favor? Okay, carried. Thank you. $11.4 is a letter of support, Cold Lake John Howard Society 2026 Winter Temporary Emergency Response Measures Funding Application.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is a request from the Cold Lake John Howard Society. A couple times a year, usually there's a spring intake and then there's a fall intake. For one is summer funding, and then also what takes them into the winter funding as well. We do this a couple times a year, Your Worship. Administration recommends council pass a motion to approve a letter of support for the grant application by the Cold Lake John Howard Society to the province of Alberta.
Okay, questions at all? Somebody like to make a motion? Councillor Vining?
Yeah, I'll make the motion as recommended.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, carried. Thank you. 11.5 is Cold Lake Retail Market Analysis.
Thank you, Your Worship. Council received a delegation at your last council meeting. It was a presentation outlining the retail market analysis. It's a gap analysis of needs for retail space and type of businesses and supports within the city of Cold Lake. The report was really fulsome in regards to, it went as far as analyzing the necessary and what we see already that the administration takes away is we're really low in terms of the amount of square foot per capita that the community has for available space for commercial to be able to exist within the community, and that is a challenge that exists, which promotes and outlines the need of the community to actually have some growth in terms of some of the square footage. I appreciate that, because on the other side is that a person that is a developer that wants to build that building would want to have a tenant to go in there right away. So it very much shows for Cold Lake though. In comparison to other communities, kind of the average in the province, you can see that that we are lower though. We've never really overbuilt. It's only been kind of built as needed in the community. And when you go to other communities, you can see where there's lots of empty space. Big buildings that may sit empty, and that throws their numbers off very much so. So Cold Lake is built in a very efficient way in that regards. So in order to open up some of that opportunity, what this report does is help investors with, first of all, the investment to say that they're comfortable with building within the community. But number two is that it's also what kind of support and what types of businesses kind of the community would like to see within the community. And then on top of all of that, it talks about kind of the areas of priority within the community that businesses should locate. Your Worship, administration recommends, unless there's any other comments from council, this was administratively driven just because we have been having lots of conversations, and council's kind of a priority for kind of retail and commercial businesses within the community was an outcome to that. Establish and adopt this plan and accept this information, so that way we can publish it to the website and also market it. You do have a number of developers that have already requested for it, so they've already actually downloaded it from the report this evening. We referred them that once it goes published, they can actually have an early look at it before council adopts it, because it is there. And you do have a number of people that were already interested and have been downloading and have questions to administration. That is happening already.
Certainly, any questions to Mr. Nagoya at all? Councillor Bailey?
Yeah, I'll just make that motion, Your Worship, that we accept it as information.
Okay,
Get it
perfect.
out there in the hands of the developers.
Yeah, I got a call today too, so yeah, about the report. So any other questions? No, all in favor? Okay, carried, thank you. And 11.6 is the same company, right? FBM Architecture Limited?
Your Worship, that's as simple just as adoption,
as information.
As information, the presentation, yeah.
Okay, so we'll look for a motion to it. Okay, Councillor Weber, please and thank you. All in favor? Okay. Any questions on the 4 committee reports that are before us? Nothing. Okay, so we'll go to council highlights. And I'm going to use an unorthodox selection manner. I'm going to start with Councillor Weber. I have a plan.
I didn't really prepare council highlights for tonight. I think we haven't had too much. Yeah, I baked a cake today. So happy birthday to Councillor Bill Parker. Yeah, I had a community grant meeting last week, and that is actually the only meeting I've had since our last meeting. And I know we have some recommendations coming to the next council meeting from that. I actually was traveling with the Royals this weekend to watch them play, and that gave me a good summer cold, so I missed out on other things this weekend because of that. And that's it for me. So not really much to highlight.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Parker. It's unorthodox, I warned you.
He's doing the left, right tonight.
Yes.
So just kind of bring up things. Councillor Lefebvre and I went on the Iron Horse Trail ride. We spent the day doing that ride. We left here at the wee hours of the morning, and we got back in the wee hours of the evening. So it was a great time. We saw a lot of good things. It was a good opportunity to go and see the ride, and I would encourage the rest of anybody in council who has the opportunity to do so, to take that ride. You get a really good feeling. There was I believe there was 12 different vehicles there and 20 people that went on the ride. And this time there was not the dirt and the dust, so we got home relatively cleaner than normal. Attended the CEDI meeting. We're getting ready for the upcoming workshop that's coming on in the 1st of October, so most of the council will be aware of that is coming on. There'll be a workshop, but it'll be a day workshop on that date. So October 1st, I believe, is the date that they've got scheduled for that. My wife and I attended the CEO's barbecue. That was rather good meal, good visitation, good friendship all the way around, and those that didn't make it, you missed out, but it was a good time. Was one of the people involved with the car show we had this year. We had 182 vehicles registered. We're just in the final stages of tallying up all the income that we had with it. But we had vehicles come from the northern states. We had vehicles there from Edmonton, Calgary, Lethbridge. We had one vehicle from Medicine Hat. We had a vehicle from BC. So we had a good cross-selection of the vehicles that were there. It was a nice warm day. And then shortly after that, we went to the A&W, which was for MS. They were taking $2 off of every teen burger and putting that towards MS. And on the same day, I attended a block party that they had. It was rather interesting. It was at the Shipwreck Park. There was a lot of people there. FCSS was there. And there was a lot of different individuals there that had an opportunity to come and talk, visit with council. They came up with some ideas. So we had a good visitation there with them. Last weekend, I attended St. Walburg. Went down and did the Blueberry Fest. Saw a lot of the Coal Lake people that were there. There was a fair good contingent there, and it was rather interesting there. Again, another place that if you ever have the opportunity to go see the Blueberry Fest, I would suggest you take advantage of it and go. It's interesting. It's a small community and they go all out for it. It's a Friday night, Saturday event, and it's very good. Last night we attended the search and rescue presentation that they had, and it brought back some memories of 50 years ago when I was young fella doing some search and rescue work with the Parks Canada people, so how things have changed. Just want to bring in anybody who's interested. There's a couple of us that might qualify for the seniors. The seniors will be starting back up again in September, and they have a new administrative personnel there. Anna Dodman is now the new administration lady that's there. So she'll gladly take your money for the new memberships coming up. And September 12th, I believe, they're having their fall barbecue.
Perfect, thank you. And that's 55 and up, right?
55 and up and gray hair.
Are you in?
Was that?
Are you 55? It's good eating.
Football, I think.
Okay. Effing football. Yeah, okay. I will go to Councillor Lefebvre. Please.
Thank you. Yes, we did go on that Municorps ride, and oh my gosh, we left at 5:30 a.m. I was surprised there's even vehicles on the road at that time of the morning, but there was quite a few. And we didn't get home till 8:30 p.m., which was a very long day. But it was a good day seeing all the stuff there. They showed us all the different work that they did. They showed us the where they're planting the trees, because we're taking part of that Canada Fund where we can get 50,000 trees. So if you match it, we're utilizing that. And they were quite grateful for Ellis Dawn, because they're going to be giving us $10,000 here along the Iron Horse Trail. But they did allow us to go punch our sticks in for the trees. We lost a lot of trees when they built the water lines. They clear cut and everything else, so they had to be replanted. And then with the Bonnyville Coal Lake water line, we had a contingency in there for the trees, but they planted the trees and then they all died. So it's a very tricky thing in trying to get the proper trees for the different areas. So, but they showed us that. They showed us the work that's been done on the small little trestles and the small little bridges. They're actually doing quite well from Wahseton all the way to St. Paul, so that was good. They're applying for a Trans-Canada grant, which should help us connect all the way through from Canada or from Saskatchewan all the way up there. And they hope to have something happen as well at Wahsetna, because they're part of the staging area funding that's been granted. Like, you know, we have ours coming up, but that's happening there. So it was good to see all the stuff, and it was, as Councillor Parker said, it was a nice day for a ride. We didn't get super dirty like we did before. I also participated in the city golf tournament, and I have to say thank you to the people I golfed with, because I swung and missed so many times. I just can't. I'm glad they don't count that, because it was a learning experience that I will not do 18 holes again. But the camaraderie, the fun with all the staff was amazing. They were just great, because I mean, I'd have been annoyed at myself. But anyway, it was a great time. I'm grateful to our social committee for putting that on. It was lots of fun. Also did Mudfest. I enjoyed going to that during the day, not necessarily the night and the concert and stuff, but the daytime was really good, and seeing some local contenders and stuff like that. And of course, always watching those things go through the mud is pretty cool, how they have their stuff. And there was a Matisse from Bonnyville. I don't know if he's related to you or not, but anyway, I thought, whoa, that's someone I know the name. But so that was really good, and I believe they had a great turnout, because when we were there, the seating was pretty well packed all day. It was great, and good weather the day I went. Also went to the Cold Lake Search and Rescue. A big shout out to these guys that volunteer. Like, they volunteer their time to do that. So if you want to, commit to a good cause, they're definitely a great cause. They're going to be having a barbecue on September 15th, I believe, at the co-op. So if you can go there and help them out, that would be awesome. Also attended the barbecue with our CAO, which was excellent. They always have great food that they prepare there. So thank you again for having us all there. And we're still working on the community safety. That's every 2 weeks, so that's a continual work plan that we're trying to get done. And I believe we've moved some of the interviews now to September, but that should be wrapped up by the end of October and something available for the council for November. So that's everything. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Councillor Cowell.
Thank you, Your Worship. I don't know about everybody else, but I am exhausted. There's so much that has been going on in Cold Lake this summer. Attended with Mayor and Councillor Parker of Corsetti. Last Saturday was at the Cherry Grove Lawn Tractor Races. It's the 9th annual put on. It was great. Drew a lot of people from across the Lakeland, including many from Cold Lake. This past weekend I was at Mudfest, which was for 4 days at the rodeo grounds with mud racing, bull riding, and a charity mud run. 2 nights of music with Jason Blaine and Mercules. I got to MC the events. It was super, super fun. And just a shout out to September 4th and 5th, we've got the Cold Lake Regional Chamber of Commerce hosting Feast at the Beach. We took last year off. This year it's back. It's a Friday and Saturday, September 4th and 5th, free event with an F-18 fly pass, food vendors, live music, kids zone, fireworks Saturday night. They're estimating 8,000 people over 2 days, about a third from outside of Cold Lake. So I'd encourage all residents to come out, and anyone that would like to volunteer, please contact the Cold Lake Regional Chamber of Commerce. Thank you.
All right, Councillor Vining.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. Let's see, I'll go kind of in reverse order here. There's some stuff we got on. Since we've got the groundbreaking done for the expansion at the Cold Lake Medical Clinic, we are getting more interest on what's going to happen and doing more work with some of our potential partners on that. So Mr. Nagoya and I have had a couple of meetings along that line with our friends from over at the PCN. So we've got having some really good conversations. It's been said already, Cold Lake Search and Rescue, thank you very much for the tour and the demo. Really interesting stuff, and how technology is linking in with what they're doing with their stuff. So, but good on them. They've really, when I go back to when I first got on council, it was a big group. We supported them with their enclosed trailer that they have, and then kind of unfortunately, it was trending in the wrong direction. But this group now has really revived that group. I mean, they're up to over 30 members. They got over 20 that are fully certified to do search and stuff too. So they're great job. Can't say enough good stuff, and they're really making good use of their grant money and stuff that they're getting in order to expand. And they can tell they have a really strong plan. They were really talking about, okay, this is what we've got. This is what's next. We got this, but this is what's next. And so good for them. I think they're really doing some great stuff there. Community grants meeting we talked about that earlier. Say that was very good. Also had our Lakeland Lodge and Housing Foundation meeting. Myself and your worship attended as board members. That's our annual meeting that we do out in Glendon every year. And every year we talk about it every time that maybe it should be the monthly meeting out at Glendon because they feed us. And you can't beat it. It was just tremendous. Thanks to Councillor Zarowski from the Glendon Council because she fed us. But also, and then myself and the CAO, Connie Surgison, met with the Glendon Council just to kind of talk about, because we do have housing in their community, and kind of talking about the future of that kind of stuff and getting some ideas from their council, and also talking a little bit about what they could do around some lobbying efforts and stuff like that to do a little bit of work for their community. We had the clinic MCC board meeting, our monthly one as well. Myself and Councillor Bailey were at that one. It was good. Got some great volunteers on that group as well. And thanks again to Mr. Naguer for the CAO barbecue. And just some shout outs. Cold Lake Cruisers, great job on that Saturday at the Energy Center. I don't know how many parking stalls might have been left empty, because between the cruisers and your guys' shows going on, and then Cold Lake First Nations had the powwow happening, so congratulations to them, because again, the videos and stuff that I saw that were posted up from that, they had a great crowd out. So it's great to see that facility just bustling, right? It's great, and we're seeing it now because of the interest of other people trying to get involved in that facility as well. It's been great. And since this is our last meeting until later in September, give it back to school time. For some of you, not for me, but for my wife, so I can't brag too hard, but so congratulations, teachers and stuff are all back right now. Kids will start back on Monday, so remember folks, school zones are back in effect, because I know our friends from municipal enforcement will be back out helping people remember, and if they don't remember, they'll give them some encouragement to remember. And then also, Feast at the Beach coming up on Labor Day weekend too. So thank you very much. That's everything.
Great. Thank you, Councillor Bailey.
Well, thank you, Your Worship. Well, going, second last, a lot of things have been mentioned that I was able to be at, so that's good. One thing that nobody else was at that I was, a library board meeting earlier this week. So we'll just talk about that again, always looking for members to come. A couple of neat things. The library board has been, or the library itself has been fundraising all year. They've made quite a bit of money, and so they're still looking for anybody else that would like to lend a sponsorship to them for some of their facilities or their services and programming. Another neat thing that was brought up at our meeting was we're going to be looking to get $10,000 from TELUS as a grant there at the library, and they're gonna, I call it an isolation booth. So it's basically a glass booth with, you can put chairs inside. So say you want to tutor, but you want to, talk with a person, or you want to have a quick meeting and you can't get into a space, into the one meeting room. It'll be sort of an isolation chamber, basically, where you can tutor if you're a tutor, or if, I even sort of half joked, if you're a flautist and you'd like to play your flute in there, I believe it's soundproof. So it's something neat, another service that'll be provided that people will have to book in to use. But again, is free of charge to use with your free of charge library card, reminding you that your library is not just books.
Thank you. That was impressive, those big words there. All right. No, thank you, Councillor Bailey. We left you to close it. So, all right. So, my 2 cents is welcome to all the new people posted into Cold Lake, and goodbye to those that left, and good luck to them. And again, the new people will get to see how cool this place is, and they'll say, I never knew how nice it was in Cold Lake till I showed up and witnessed to what we saw tonight and heard from people coming out and seeing what we have and what we have to offer here. And kids going off to school, like outside the area and inside the area, best of luck to you, and go forward and do well and do good things. And school zones, that's a good call there. I did have the privilege of walking in the grand entry at the 4th annual Cold Lake Powwow at the Reed Field House, and as was said earlier, the place was bumping because the climbing wall was full of concessions. There were lineups, met a lot of really cool people. I think I've got some new volunteers lined up to work as volunteers for the city, and the car show. Kudos to you guys. Thank you, Mr. Nagoya, for the great meal at your home. This, I'm just going to defer slightly to Major Brass Truck. Is this the final weekend coming up for the museum? Or the long weekend? Long weekend. So thank you guys so much for putting the museum in such good stead and everything. So if you haven't seen the museum yet this year, go before the end of the long weekend. It's just wonderful. So thank you. I got to review the Air Cadet Squadron's parade this past Friday. Got to sit beside Major Brass Chuck again, and we had fun, and that was the first time I got to do that. So that's very interesting to see the dynamic. There was one Air Cadet from Nunavut, and other part, like, so it goes from Ontario west, but one kid from Nunavut. So that was really cool. And again, very well done. It's awesome to see. Cold Lake Search and Rescue we went to last night, and as was said earlier, those guys are really, like, they're again just so excited about what they do, and they do such a good job, and they're just so happy to tell that story. And they're looking for volunteers, as Councillor Fabe said, September 15th at the co-op. They'll gas up your car and do. They're looking for donations to buy equipment with, and they've got a wish list that's actually really well thought out. So. Community registration is tomorrow night at the Reed Field House, 5 o'clock till 8, I believe it is. So if you want to join a club or look for volunteers, go down there, have a walkthrough. Yeah, 5 to 8, I believe it is. So. Then there's also the Energy Center has its annual sale on the fitness center passes, 20% off on your passes. So, and that allows you to go to the Synovus gym, but it also allows you to go into some of the fitness classes, other events like pickleball and such. So it's more than just a gym membership. It's got a lot going. And again, when we show people a gym, they go, "Holy, is it ever like this? Is cool." So. And finally, I would like to congratulate, because this event is early September, congratulations to Mr. and Mrs. Nagoya on the wedding of their daughter, Jaden. First one to go down the aisle. You'll be crying. We got money on it, so congratulations to you. Okay. And that's all.
Oh, we have proclamations still.
Yeah, I do have a proclamation to read here. This is Ukrainian-Canadian Heritage Day, September 7th, 2026. On September 7th, our municipality recognizes Alberta Ukrainian-Canadian Heritage Day and the enduring commitment and contributions of generations of Ukrainians that make Alberta home. This year also marks the 135th anniversary of the Ukrainian immigration to Canada. Whereas over the decades, Ukrainian Canadians have contributed to the building of this province, clearing land, developing farms, establishing churches, schools, hospitals, businesses, cultural organizations, and helped shape many communities across the province that continue to exist today. And whereas Ukrainian Canadian Heritage Day is an opportunity for our municipality to recognize the resilience, dedication, and efforts of the Ukrainians and the Ukrainian Canadians who developed and continue to support the growth in our community. Now, therefore, I, Bob Mattice, Mayor of the City of Cold Lake, do hereby proclaim and declare that September 7th, 2026 be known as Ukrainian Canadian Heritage Day. Thank you. And now we'll do a request to adjourn. Adjournment at questions. I'm sorry. Yeah. Any questions at all? to anybody? Okay, good. So,
I'll make a motion to recess till 12
yes.
to show.
Thank you. What he said. All in favor?